Hello and welcome to Read Red. Today we're going to be talking about the best bookstores in the world, and trust me, I will be talking about bookstores. You're willing to skip forward to that part of the video if that's all you're looking for, but for everyone who knows me and knows that I've been gone for the last 3 months and knows that I look wild because I have not cut my hair or anything while I've been traveling, I've just been in Asia for the last 3 months and it's been pretty wild. I wanted to talk about it and I wanted to just talk about different experiences, but I thought the best way to actually talk about it that's relevant for the channel is to talk about books, because while I was in Asia traveling, I also visited a bookstore in just about, if not every, city that I went to. And so I was going to talk about that, but then I realized, I've now been to a number of countries and I've been to a number of bookstores, and so it's time for me to talk about the best bookstores in the world. And of course we need to address that, right? Because best means my personal favorite. Bookstore means bookstores that sell English books and preferably used English books. And in the world really just means these countries and cities. As you'll note from the list, I've not been to any of the Americas, I've not been to the United Kingdom, I have not been to the world, really, but I am alright with admitting that this is an incomplete list because I want you to also talk about your favourite bookstores in the world, or what you think the best bookstores are for finding English books. And what I'm excited about and what will be nice is, not only is this going to give you a bit of an update of what I've done while I've been away and just how absolutely wild this whole year has been for me, it's also coming kind of full circle, because the first bookstore and the first city that I'm going to talk about, aside from Sydney, is Berlin, which is actually where I started this channel. I moved to Berlin for, it was more like a long vacation or a sojourn for 3 months in 2022, and while I was there I just started this channel. So I don't really recommend you go back and watch those early videos because they're kind of trash, but they're still me, they're still my videos, and it's still my content, and you're welcome to go and see it. But yeah, I started this channel in Berlin, and so it's just been nice to almost say and actually Berlin was the first time I ever traveled overseas. I'd never left Australia until then. So this is really like a bookstore in just about every city I've ever visited. So let's get started. We are going to talk about, actually, disclaimer before we get started, not a disclaimer, maybe divert to another video. I live in Sydney and I could talk about a ton of great Sydney bookstores, and I wanted to include it in this video, but I just already have talked about my favorite bookstores in Sydney. I have another video on that, go and check it out, just because Abby's bookshop, the different Burklow books that are here, Kinokuniya, etc. There's tons of great bookstores in Sydney, but this video I already anticipate is going to be long, so I'm not going to talk about those bookstores which I've already talked about. Starting with Germany and Berlin in particular, which is I think the only city I've been to for any extended period in Germany. While I was there, I was really a hound for Dussmann das Kulturkaufhaus. Dussmann das Kulturkaufhaus. Gosh, so not doing it. Justice. There's going to be a lot of bad pronunciations here, by the way, just like all bad. But the nice thing about that is that when I went to Germany, the book that I was reading on the plane was Gravity's Rainbow. And I read that book just throughout my time in Berlin, and afterwards I really just fell in love with Pynchon. And so when I was at Dussmann das Kulturkaufhaus, I bought some more Pynchon books. I bought Inherent Vice, and I also bought The Crying of Lot 49. By the way, throughout the video, wherever possible, I'm going to try and include photos, either public photos that have been uploaded and are on Google, but sometimes there are also some photos that I have included from inside the store. And just keep in mind that with any photos from inside the store, I did ask permission to take photos in there. I didn't just go in, start taking photos, and then leave without buying anything. You know what I mean? So yeah, just if you plan on going out and adventuring into different bookstores in the world, just take like 5 seconds to walk up to the owner or a staff member working there and ask for permission to take some photos. But yeah, while I was in Berlin, there's really 3 places that I want to talk about. Dussmann, das Kulturkaufhaus. I've really tortured myself by making myself say this name as many times as possible. That's where I bought these Pynchon books. I also went to another bookstore that I highly recommend. It's called St. George's English Bookshop, which is where I bought Paradise by Donald Barthelme. Try and hold it up to the sunlight. Paradise. And I don't know what bookstore it was. It was probably like Thalia Books or something, but I just thought it was funny. I bought Berlin Alexanderplatz in Berlin Alexanderplatz. So had to do it. But if you, basically my number one, the one that I will recommend going and checking out, because it is an English used bookstore, go to St. George's English Bookshop. That's the one that I recommend highly. Next up, a year later, I started doing some traveling, basically with my family throughout Europe, a lot of the main cities in Europe, and I did talk about some of this stuff in a video called September Channel Update, but I'll be quick. I'm not going to be as long and drawn out as I would be if I was making a video about Australia. When I was in Greece, I went to a bookstore in Athens called Bookstore Politeia, and I bought, of all things, I bought the Cantos of Ezra Pound, which were available there. I don't know how much I paid for it. Do I still have the receipt? Oh, I do know how much I paid for it, which was €29. And I have a receipt. Oh, it's fading. It's faded, but boom, look at that. Got a receipt. Oh, focus is going wild. Give me that receipt. Oh yeah, got a receipt. So I can claim this on tax now that I've monetized this video, and I can. Yeah, I don't think that's how it works, but yeah. So I bought the Cantos of Ezra Pound, which I haven't read, and I totally am like never really gonna read because Ezra Pound is way too smart for me. But yeah, I do recommend that bookstore. There was a ton of great English selections, and I looked around to try and find some used English bookstores, but I wasn't in Athens for that long. In Crete, it was hard to find a bookstore, but I will just give a quick shout out to the Nikos Kazantzakis Museum for actually having available a copy of The Last Temptation, and I got a cute bookmark from them as well. Thank you, Kazantzakis. Also, if you're curious, I made a video called Literary Pilgrimages, which I released just before going on my own pilgrimage, which I will talk about very shortly. And I talk about going and seeing Kazantzakis' grave in Heraklion, which is very cool. So you're welcome to go and check that out if you would like. After Greece, went to Italy, went to Venice first. And I only have an honorable mention. So honorable mentions are going to show up throughout this list, and they fall into one of 2 categories. They're either they're either bookstores that I went to but I didn't buy anything from them, or on very rare occasions I just didn't go to them at all, but I know they're good. There's one that'll show up when I talk about Cambodia. But yeah, honorable mention is usually I went to the bookstore but I just couldn't find anything to buy. Everything else on this list is a book that I actually bought from the bookstore. But the honorable mention for Venice is a place called Libreria Acqua Alta, which is cool. It's a very crammed sort of like overflowing bookstore that has I guess a gondola full of books in the middle, and I really love that store. I'll try and include some photos from it, but the reason I didn't buy anything was because it was raining so heavily that and I didn't have a bag, or I didn't really trust. I was already soaking wet, so I didn't really trust that the book was going to make it out alive if I left with it. But great bookstore, and I am keen to go back and buy a book from there if/when I go back to Venice. And if you're in Venice and you want somewhere cozy to go and hide from all of the insane amount of tourists being me, and so on, then please go into Libreria Acqua Alta. Then we went to Rome. We wanted to go to Sicily, but it was on fire. Like, literally, the airport was on fire. It was insane. My brother was there, and he was just like, dude, this place is burning. But anyway, we went to Rome instead to save ourselves from burning. And when I was in Rome, we went to a few bookstores, but the one where I did buy a book is, I think, a pretty big new bookstore. Really gonna butcher this one, but it's Feltrinelli Libreria Feltr. Bro, I'm just gonna put it up on screen. I'm gonna put it up on screen. You can read it. Don't worry about my pronunciation. Just do your best. And that is where I bought this. This is The Written World and the Unwritten World by Italo Calvino, who's Italian. And the funny thing about this book is that probably within 15 minutes of buying it, I spilled some gelato on it, which you can see on this top bit here. Let's see how the focus goes, but yeah, sorry Italo Calvino, but you were baptized in the second, you were baptized in some great Roman fashion, you know, when in Rome, baptize your books with gelato. But yeah, I have read this and I vaguely enjoyed the essays, but it wasn't something to make a YouTube video about. Okie dokie. And the other honourable mention, I didn't buy anything from here, but there is a great bookstore called Otherwise Bookshop, and I instantly knew that they were excellent because, as this photo will show you, the bookstore they put like a Pynchon book next to an Anna Huang book, and I remember laughing with my sister because that's the stuff. I was there with my sister, and she reads those sort of books, and I just thought it was this brilliant, beautiful coincidence that they put those two books together. But Otherwise Bookshop is great. They have a good Instagram account as well, and I highly recommend, if you are in Rome and you don't already have 7 million things to do, then go to Otherwise Bookshop. Now, Paris, France. Cher Paris, the city of love. But, you know, there's a couple of good bookstores there. And firstly, let's just talk about Shakespeare & Co. Because as you can tell, I'm not bursting at the seams to talk about Shakespeare & Co. But I have been there and I've bought 2 books from there. I bought Umberto Eco's Chronicles of a Liquid Society, which I have not yet read, but I did get the nice Shakespeare & Co. stamp. Boom. And I also bought something that I have read, which is Joyce. It's like an Everyman's Pocket Joyce. Got another, and I bought this because I wanted to have Exiles, which I hadn't read. And man, how funny is it that this is just like some of the worst shit Joyce wrote. But yeah, I'm glad that I had this, and this actually became a fun running joke with my sister and I. But if you're in, well, the thing is, like, when I want to love Shakespeare & Co. and I've been there now 4 times, and the problem is, the first time it's very exciting. You're like, oh wow, it's a bookstore that I have to stand in line for. Like, look how prestigious this is. And then you kind of go in, and the reason I like looking for used bookstores when I go overseas is because there is something a bit just about when you go and you find an English book and it's just literally all the same Penguin Modern Classics blue spines that you see back home, and it's like, did I just pay the most exorbitant shipping fee imaginable to get this same book that I could have picked up from home? So that's why I do look out for used books. That's also why I know it's harder to find a good bookstore, because like finding used English books in a not English speaking country is a bit hard. But yeah, I feel like every time I walked into Shakespeare & Co, I was just like, I've just got all this stuff at home, you know? But reverse is if you were near Shakespeare & Co and you take a little weaving detour around the corner, like just a couple minutes walk, there is a place called the Abbey Bookshop. I didn't get a chance to get a photo of it, and I didn't buy anything from there because, again, like Venice, I was so rained out. It was like hailing so hard that I wasn't going to be able to safely buy any books. But I know that place is good, the Abbey Bookshop. Go and check it out if you are in Paris and you find, like me, that Shakespeare & Co. doesn't quite live up to to what you want it to be. Oddly enough though, if you go to the Czech Republic and you are in Prague, then you can buy at the same place that I bought this, at a place called Shakespeare & Sons, I bought Augustus by John Williams. And yeah, I don't know why, like Shakespeare & Sons was nicer, or I enjoyed it more than Shakespeare & Co. It had a little bit more of that cozy bookstore vibe. But yeah, I recommend Shakespeare & Sons if you are in Prague. Okay, and so technically in that trip, I did also go to some other bookstores, or to some other cities. I went to like Amsterdam and I went back to Berlin. But since I didn't buy any books from there, we're now going to time warp, jump 2 years into the future to present year of what we're filming, which is 2025, where I went and did the Camino de Santiago pilgrimage. And after I did it, I got a nice little celebratory tattoo, which is nice. A couple of friends also got it. We walked across kind of sort of basically the distance of Spain. I think the final kilometer count was 80 or 900 kilometers, and I'll just show some photos of doing the Camino. And it was great, but I have a lot more to talk about it but later. So not for this video, because of course I'm walking with my backpack. I didn't buy any books while I was there, because the idea of carrying any unnecessary weight is just absurd to all of us doing the pilgrimage. So yeah, no bookstores from the pilgrimage, but the timing and the dates lined up perfectly such that after the Camino, I went to Dublin for Bloomsday, and you're going to see some photos of me enjoying Bloomsday. I'm eating a gorgonzola sandwich. I went and saw the poetry readings. I got a photo with I know his name is John. It's John something. The Joyce lookalike, who is also a really great hat maker. That's his profession, and just an overall great sport. I got a photo from him, and I am just the happiest imaginable. But the nice thing is that I was also just in Dublin, and I happened to buy a ton of books while I was there. So I went to a bookstore called Chapters Bookstore, which was cool. It was kind of new bookstore, but they had a bigger than you'd expect used book section, which I spent a lot of time in. But ultimately I ended up buying a new book, which was the Selected Poems of Samuel Beckett. I picked that up there, and I've read some of this. The really big one though, actually, I'll do an honorable mention, which is Temple Bar Bookshop. Went in there, lots of great books, pretty good prices, and a lot of rare stuff. But because of the bookstore I'm about to talk to, I had already bought so many books, so I didn't buy anything from Temple Bar Bookshop. But the number one ultra highlight of going to Dublin, which you need to check out, is called The Secret Book and Record Store. I bought 4 books from here. Firstly, I bought the collected poems of Arthur Rimbaud, which I read sort of. Well, I mean, I read it, yes, but I just kind of read it on the plane from Dublin to Vienna. But yeah, I know how wild it is to be like, oh yeah, I just binge read Rimbaud within like 2 hours. But yeah, I actually feel like that contributed to some quality of Rimbaud, especially because of how quickly he wrote everything. But yeah, bought this, great price. What was it? It was like €5. And it's been signed by someone with excellent handwriting. Howard Davies. Get a load of that. Thanks, Howard. Well, thanks for not wanting this book anymore and passing it on to me for an excellent deal. Next, I bought something called The Prelude to Poetry, which you can't really see because it's because of lines and things, but looks like this. The English poets in defense and praise of their own art. So there are essays from Milton, Shelley, etc., and Thomas Campion, Dryden, just talking about how great poetry is. And I was reading random selections of this when I didn't want to be reading Rombo. But of course, I was there in Dublin for Bloomsday, so I knew I had to buy some Joyce books. Firstly, I bought a new copy of Finnegan's Wake, which looks like this. It's a Wordsworth edition, and this looks alright, it's alright. It's alright. But are you ready to see something that is just absurd? So I bought this copy of Ulysses, and look, I'm only going to say this. I only feel confident enough saying this because I probably now own 5 or 6 copies of Ulysses. So I'm a diehard fan. I gave them this money. But this cover just sucks so much. It is so bad that I'm just like, what even is this? Like, it looks like a modern romance smut novel, and I really think, I was brainstorming with Maria from Strange Lucidity, I think that this is what they wanted to do, that they actually planned to be like, hey, you like your raunchy novels, you've heard of A Court of Thorn and Roses, have you heard of Ulysses? Or maybe they're just like, oh yeah, you got Circe, you've got A Song of Achilles, why not check out Ulysses, maybe, cute cover, and then you just start reading it and you're like, what is this? So I've come around to it, actually. I think this cover is brilliant. Just look at it. But I bought this, and I'm very glad that I bought it. I bought 50% of the corpus of James Joyce's novels back home with me on the plane. Afterwards, like I said, I flew to Vienna, which is where I met up with Maria from Strange Lucidity, and we had a great time. We were just like hanging around, exploring. She was really like a kind of excellent tour guide, taking me to different places. We went to Shakespeare & Co. In Vienna, which is where I bought this, Nobody's Children. I've read, I think, 2 out of the 3 novellas within it. And I also bought The Penguin Freud Reader, which I haven't read yet, but while I was away on this trip to Asia, I did read the Psychopathology of Everyday Life by Freud, and I have some thoughts on that, let me tell you. But we will get there. Anyway, Camino trip is over. I have gone to all of these places. I have bought some great books. I've seen some great things. The Camino really, I know it's a bit cliche, but it changed my life. I knew I wanted to write about it and try and capture the experience. And so I came home. I was home for a month. And then I just thought, no, I'm really going to commit to it. I've got enough saved up so that I can stay and just write for the rest of the year. And then the cogs start turning in my brain, and I just think, rent in Sydney is quite expensive. Is there something else I can do to, also just keep writing, but maybe pay less money? I was like, on the one hand, I can move back in with my parents, which is not the worst thing. I love my parents and I love my family, but I knew it wasn't like the right adventurous thing. On the other hand, I can buy a spontaneous plane ticket to Vietnam, and I can live in Hanoi for 3 months writing this book, because the rent there is so cheap that the amount of money that I paid for 1 week in a share house in Sydney was how much a studio apartment costs for 1 month in Hanoi. So I was just like, no brainer, instantly purchased a ticket, and then a month later I flew to Hanoi. And I spent a lot of the time, I must be like the only human imaginable who was like, I want to find a nice, quiet, peaceful city where I can write a book about doing this spiritual pilgrimage journey. So I'm going to go to Hanoi, the most bonkers, active, I call it overstimulation, the city. And it is just a phenomenon to like be in the traffic. You get on the back of these bikes and you're just like Ubering, like weaving around, and it's like the traffic is this manifested Lovecraftian entity. But I'm not going to talk too much about it because, short answer, I spent a lot of time there. I wrote most of the book and I'm kind of just ready to, because I also like hand wrote portions of it, so I'm kind of going to be finishing it off, hopefully finishing off a book, right? I'm going to be finishing it off now for the next couple of months or until the end of the year. But after I got to a good satisfactory point with the book, I realized that it was really still quite cheap to go and visit other countries in Asia. So I also went to Cambodia, Thailand, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Japan. And I'm going to talk about the books that I bought in these places. So we're going to start with Hanoi, which is where, again, I spent the most time. I think I was in Hanoi for about a month and a half. The first place I went to was a place called Bookworm Hanoi, which is really good. It's probably like you're gonna find a bunch of stuff there. There's an excellent used section upstairs, but I ended up buying the new version of The Song of Q, which I did read, and this has got to be like probably a new favorite poem. I would really love to talk about this and spread some more love for this Vietnamese literature. Q has got to be now one of my like favorite heroines in fiction, a la the Proust questionnaire. But yeah, I loved this. This was new that I bought. But my favorite bookstore in Hanoi, and I'm actually going to make a declaration right now, my favorite bookstore in the world is the Bookshelf Hanoi, which is where I bought Adonis's Songs of Micha the Damascene. Micha, I don't know how to pronounce it, but I also read this. Firstly, I just couldn't believe that they had it. I don't know when it got when this issue got published, but I learned about Adonis from a video that the YouTube channel Orpheus made. The guy's name is Drake, but he's got an amazing channel, very well read, and he talked about how Adonis is, in his opinion, the greatest living poet. So I was like, all right, well, I'll get this, and I'm going to include as many photos and videos of the inside of the store as I can, because again, I talked to the people, I asked their permission, I told them about what I do. They actually knew me because funnily enough, I read the Odyssey while I was away, and I wanted to pass it on. So I actually traded in my copy of the Odyssey. So if it's still available, you might be able to buy my version of the Odyssey from the bookshelf in Hanoi. But the best thing, and the reason why they are my favorite bookstore in the world, is because this is the only bookstore where they have given me not only excellent selections of literature, not only impeccable vibe and taste and a place to sit and just enjoy reading, but thirdly, they gave me biscuits blessed by their ancestors. Are you kidding me? Biscuits blessed by the ancestors? #1 bookstore in the world, the Bookshelf Hanoi. Next time I go back to Hanoi, I'm immediately going back to that bookstore. But please do check them out. They've got a quite popular social media page, and yeah, thank you again for being a lovely bookstore that I visited multiple times, but that was the only book I got from them. Next, I went down to Ho Chi Minh City, or Saigon, as everybody I met there called it, and I thought it was going to be hard to find a bookstore there, but I ended up quite near the hostel I was staying in. I went to a place called the Pages of Passion bookstore, which looks like this, and which is where I bought The Colors of April. This is a collection of 50 short stories, meditations, or talking about the legacy of the Vietnam War. And what I liked about this was that it was it's not just people who are for or against it. It is a collection, a compilation. There's some Vietnam War veterans in it, and so very excited to just learn more. I mean, you know, I'm such a goober that when I showed up to Vietnam, I didn't even know who Ho Chi Minh was, so I was extreme fish out of water. But yeah, I learned a lot about Vietnam while I was there, visited museums, and I'm keen to learn more through the medium of literature. So The Colors of April is what I checked out. I can't say anything about it yet because I haven't read it. But yeah, those are the bookstores that I visited in Vietnam. Next, I got a bus into Cambodia, which was sort of kind of a nightmare because I, like an idiot, didn't do my research, and I didn't realize that Cambodia, the day that I was going in, had a public holiday, and a long public holiday of about 4 days. I think it's like something like Ancestor Day. But long story short, the bus in took so long that it was meant to be a 7-hour bus ride, but it ended up taking 14 hours because of how bad the traffic was. And the reason I went to Phnom Penh is because one of my old besties lives there, and I was sending him a message. I'm like, is this what traffic is like in Cambodia? And he's like, no, dude, it's so bad you're on the news. So yeah, it was pretty hectic to be stuck in a stretch of maybe 2 kilometers for 6 hours. But finally we get to Phnom Penh, and it is empty. It is just dead because nobody is there. So I'm strolling around, and it was kind of a relief after Hanoi to just be in a Southeast Asian city that is not mental. And I was just moseying around, but as a consequence of that, I didn't actually get to visit any bookstores in Phnom Penh. But one that I will recommend as an honorable mention is Chamna Bookstore, or the Commune. And they are an independent bookstore that sells, I don't know, just I guess like a range of used books. There are good books there, and I knew about it because my friend recommended it. But again, everything was closed when I was there, so it was nice to walk around and like just visit, like relax for a little bit. But I didn't get a chance to buy anything in Phnom Penh. Afterwards, however, I went to Siem Reap, and it was very almost the same deal. I almost didn't get a chance to buy any bookstores, but thankfully I walked into a place called Bookish Siem Reap, and I kind of sort of technically ignored all of the signs that said that it was closed because I heard someone walking up there, and I was like, I'm just going to be a little bit selfish. I really want to just, like, I got to get a book from Cambodia. And so I walked in and I was like, oh, are you open? And then she was like, not really, but since you're here, you're welcome to buy something. So I just went through and I did pick up, again, thank you very much for opening for me. And again, I talked to her about taking photos and doing it for the channel, and she said yes. So hopefully I'm making it up to you with this. And if anyone is in Siem Reap, then go to Bookish Siem Reap. The book I bought there was Sacred Vows by a Cambodian or Khmer poet who might still be alive, U Sam Oer. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it is a bilingual version of his poetry. And this was exactly what I was looking for because, I mean, I didn't know it, but like, I'm just looking for works, especially when, like, if you go to an English bookstore, the people who are wanting to read English books don't want to read necessarily English translations of Khmer books that they can already read in Khmer. So it's actually kind of hard to find things like this. You know, they want to read the Western classics if they're going to buy it in English. But I was very lucky to have bought that book. And thank you again, Bookish Siem Reap, for being open for me and for having this book available. Next up, Bangkok. I was not in Bangkok for a long time. I actually didn't want to be there for that long because I knew how hectic it was, and I'm like, am I really that keen to get back into a party heavy city? And oh mama, it is a hectic city. But the best thing about Bangkok, except for ping pong, is Book Lovers Books, which is where I bought this book by Chart Korbjiti. It's called The Judgment. And it is that bookstore, Book Lovers Books, is really beautiful, understated. It's kind of hard. You walk past it a couple of times. There's not really any signs, but it is the best used English bookstore that I saw in all Asia. Technically, the Bookshelf Hanoi is a new bookstore. They don't have that many used books, but Book Lovers Books in Bangkok, Thailand. And also the man who was working there was just such a delightful, beautiful person. I actually sold him like I gave him like $2 for it, but I actually gave him my copy of Tristram Shandy, which is what I'd been reading also throughout the trip to Asia. So if you're in Thailand and you want to own my copy of Tristram Shandy that has my notes and annotations in it, go to Book Lovers Books and buy it. It's there, but you will find amazing things at that bookstore. Book Lovers Books, Thailand. Thank you again in Bangkok. I was only there for 2 days, but that just made it so worth it. Next up, I got a flight to Taipei in Taiwan, and a trend that will show up for the next 3 countries, Taiwan, China, and Japan, is that you'll find a lot of excellent bookstores, but not that much that have English works, which again is completely fine. Not expecting it to have English works, but when you do find English books, it's just great. So 2 works or 2 places. Molly Used Books NTU store. This is a good bookstore, but I went with someone, a friend, a local, who recommended it, and she was just saying that recently they slimmed down the English section, so it wasn't as big as I hoped, and I didn't end up buying anything there, but it is a good bookstore and the selection of books was great. I also noticed a big theme for Taiwan in particular is that it's very easy to find anthologies. You'll see the Norton critical anthologies everywhere. There's tons of them. But I was ready to give up hope. I didn't think I was going to find any good bookstores for my purposes in Taipei, but I stumbled into Bookman Books, which had Passages, a collection of 13 contemporary Taiwan poets, or Taiwanese poets, and this is just an excellent bookstore. It's so good. I'm including a bunch of photos, and I picked that up, but there were tons of books. It was technically a new bookstore, but the vibe, immaculate. If you want English books, it's awesome. China, Hong Kong, which I don't know, Hong Kong, what's the verdict? Is Hong Kong its own country? Like, they have their own passport, right? But anyway, moving on, I went to 2 bookstores. There was one that I went to this bookstore and I really loved the place. It's a place called Lily Bookshop. It's a bit south in Hong Kong, and I liked it, but I really struggled to just find a book that I was very happy with. I ended up settling on A Portrait of the Self as Nation by Marilyn Chin, who is writing about Hong Kong themes, but I didn't think it was exactly the right book that I wanted to get. The bookstore, Lily Bookshop, is great. Again, I asked permission and to take some photos and videos inside, but I just had this really weird feeling. I loved Taipei so much, and I don't think it's the end of my time in Taipei, but we'll talk about that when we get there. But I loved Taipei, and then when I went to Hong Kong, I just thought, this is not a place for me. Like, there are no jazz clubs here. There's there's one jazz club, kind of, sort of. All the food is more expensive than Australia. You really have to dig around to find anything. You walk around the streets and it just feels like you're in a shopping center everywhere you go. Like, everywhere is a shopping center. Just wasn't loving Hong Kong that much. But I'm gonna quote something that someone that I met while in Cambodia, an Irish man who, I'm not gonna say his name because I have written about him, so just for protecting anonymity. But he said to me, I told him that earlier this year I went to Ireland, and he's from the centre of Ireland, but I said, I've only been to Dublin, and this is what he said to me. I'll try it in an accent. Let me give you some advice, Nicholas. The next time you fly into Dublin Airport, the first thing you do is you get the fuck out of Dublin and you go west. And that's how I feel about Hong Kong, where as soon as you arrive, get the fuck out of Hong Kong and go up north to a place called Taipei, because maybe this bookstore is actually, oh man, there's so many good bookstores. so many good bookstores. This might be my favorite bookstore in Asia general. So I guess Thailand is still Southeast Asia, but Eastish Asia, Hong Kong, the Book Cure. Take an hour detour out of Hong Kong. You don't want to be there anyway. Get up, go north to a place called Taipei. There is a stunning little bookstore in there that I could have spent like hours and hours in. And I found this amazing book, Chinese Films in Focus, which is 25 essays on a bunch of great Chinese films like Farewell My Concubine, Chungking Express, Yellow Earth, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Yi Yi, etc. Yeah, there are a couple of bookstores that I really could have just made whole dedicated videos for. Book Lovers Books in Bangkok and the Book Cure in Hong Kong is one of them. Two of them. But yeah, I bought that Chinese Films in Focus. Finally, I went to Japan and I went to 3 cities. I went to Hiroshima because I was visiting a friend and just doing some nature walks. I didn't buy anything in Hiroshima, but in Osaka, I went to a place called Maruzen and Junkudo, which is just, like new. I got sort of Kinokuniya vibes, kind of big gimmicks, etc. But I bought 2 books. I bought Japanese death poems. And I got this because the premise seems interesting, but I also own a similar thing for English language authors. Harold Bloom wrote a book called Till I End My Song or something, and it's just like the last poems that a lot of great English poets wrote. But yeah, I also bought Yasunari Kawabata's Thousand Cranes because I don't own it, and it was very light. Like I was getting to the point. Like, just really try and imagine how many books I have in my backpack that's meant to be 7 kilos, and I can't believe it. Like, my backpack did get weighed while I was in Cambodia when I was flying to Thailand, and I take my backpack off and I put it on the thing, and this is carry-on, not checked. I plunk it down, 16 kilograms. And the woman behind the counter just looks at me and she's like, it's meant to be 7. And I'm like, dude, I don't know what to do. So I just took a bunch of stuff out, made an impromptu bag that I could fit underneath the chair in front of me. And we got it down to 10 kilos. And she was like, good enough, just go. So thank you to that. Thank you to that lady behind the counter. But yeah, the books are really starting to add up. So by now I'm just trying to find books that are small and light. The last place I went to was Tokyo, and I went to 2 bookstores, but the one I'm going to recommend is Infinity Books. Lovely place. They have a cat there, and I could have bought a bunch of things, but I ended up buying Susan Sontag Regarding the Pain of Others, which is a weird book to end my big Asia book buying journey on, but I already got all of my I got my Japanese book fix already, so I just wanted to get that because I didn't own it. The other books that you'll see, I'll show up on screen. They were great, but I already owned them, so I didn't want to double up. And I did go to Kitazawa Bookstore. I will say that's honorable mention. Amazing, like just superb used bookstore, but a bit out of my price range, and yeah, I was just not really prepared to drop like $100 on a first edition Kobo Abe, you know what I mean? But incredible bookstore, and I hope I have time to just add in all of the photos from everything. But, here we are. Now we're back. I've been talking about books for 45 minutes, and it's been incredible. To be perfectly honest, I don't think I'm going to be doing any more traveling until the next year, but I do already know where I'm going next, but it's going to be a secret. I think the next few years are going to have various hiati from this channel, just because I will be still traveling and trying to work on writing and art related things, but whenever I'm here, I am motivated and keen to make videos. I have this whole Google Excel sheet of extra videos that I want to make, so I'll try and make as many of them as possible so that you have some good read content, and that will keep you going until I get back from whatever next adventure it is. As I said 4 years ago when this video started, this is an incomplete list. I will of course be visiting more bookstores when I travel more of the world, and I also want you to help flesh out this list. Where are you from? What is your favorite bookstore? And let's just give some people some recommendations for things to do and places to visit that aren't your stock standard like touristy places. You know, we're banning the Eiffel Tower. No Eiffel Tower, never. You'll see it everywhere you go. Don't worry about it. Go to whatever bookstore, right? That's our plan as book lovers and book readers. So yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out for my because of my large hiatus. But for now, I'm back. I've got tons of ideas, tons of books to talk about, and you'll be seeing more content from me soon. Thank you very much. Much love. Keep reading, and I'll see you in the next video.